Hey there everyone, Mazrock here, and today we're going to be looking at the Blood DK double legendaries and the 4-piece tier set. A lot of people are saying that we're getting very close to 9.2, so things are getting a little bit more finalized. They did put out a blue post on how they kind of want the Blood DK set to work, so that way it's going to be a little bit more broader and not just while you're actively tanking. But let's go over the 2 and the 4-piece set very quickly before we get into the double legendaries. As you can see, I am in Venthyr, so we're going to start with the Venthyr Covenant, but like the Warrior video, we are going to go to the other covenants and kind of test them out and see how they feel. This is less about the exact numbers, but how everything kind of feels. So, 2-part set. Heartstrike increases your strength by 1% and the duration of Dancing Rune Weapon by 0.5 seconds, persisting for 10 seconds after Dancing Rune Weapon ends. So it is a nice big strength buff depending on how many runes that you spend. Your rune spenders being mostly Marrow Rend and Heart Rend. The 4-piece. Parrying an attack causes your weapons to lash out, heart striking your attacker, and Dancing Rune Weapon now summons 2 rune weapons. So that is 2 heart strikes with the bonus effects of the heart strike. So instantly strike the target and one other nearby enemy, causing physical damage and reducing the enemy's movement speed by 20% for 1 second, and it generates 5 bonus runic power and more per enemy struck. And this, they have said in a blue post, they want this runic power generation occurring. So just for you having uptime on Dancing Rune Weapon, which will increase your parry chance, what we're going to do is right now I have a base of 21%. We're going to see what it is with Dancing Rune Weapon. We're going to try it on these dummies and see what can really happen. Now, as well, the double legendary that we are rocking is of course, the Girdle of Unity, but we are going to be using the Dancing Rune Weapon, Crimson Rune Weapon legendary. And the reason why is because it generates 5 bone shields stacks whenever you use Dancing Rune Weapon, but the cooldown of DRW is reduced by 5 seconds every time that you lose a bone shield stack. So it's really worth it. So the more that you're actively tanking, the more this cooldown goes down. And of course, with the 2 and the 4-piece set, you want as much uptime as possible on Dancing Rune Weapon. Very important. Now, this is already a pretty good legendary. It's fun in Mythic Plus, not as useful, admittedly, in Raid, but it was still very good in Mythic Plus. Super Strain would eke out ahead, of course, but I was having a lot of fun playing this. And when Dancing Rune Weapon phase, your rune generation is increased by 40% for 10 seconds. Now, the Venthyr legendary, when Swarming Mist ends, it deals 2,296 shadow damage to 5 nearby enemies, healing you for 25% of the damage dealt, and the damage is increased by 2% for every 1 runic power spent while Swarming Mist was active. Now, this is kind of the key here. Increased by 2% for every 1 runic power spent while Swarming Mist was active. If you hit Bone Storm during your Swarming Mist cast, which is very easy to do, that is 100 runic power. That's 200%. If you Death Strike, that at 5 Bone Shield stacks, that is 40%. 40%? No, 80%. Sorry, it's 2%. Yeah, that's 40% per Death. 80% per Death Strike. I'm sorry, my brain isn't working as well today. So that is very big. So we're going to be running this, even though, especially versus target dummies, Super Strain would eke out more DPS without any question of a doubt. But here we go. Once this is highlighted, we're going to go here. So Dancing Rune Weapon, let's go. Swarming Mist, let's get our stuffs on there. Let's get things going. Let's Bone Shield. And just go to town. Keep spending. Keep spending. Come on, we can keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going! It's running out! But man, we kept this going for a good chunk of time. Swarming Mist is definitely, I mean, right here I'm sitting at 10%. That's very nice. And look at that, Insatiable Hunger adding another 10% damage. So we're going to be running into an issue of how much runic power do you want to be spending versus how many runes do you want to be, spamming. Because obviously the more runic power you spend, the more Swarming Mist damage through Insatiable Hunger. But all in all, this is a very, very welcome addition to AoE's, to Blood DK's AoE toolkit. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be all around fun gameplay. You get a nice strength bonus. Somebody gave me a Riptide. I think somebody's testing that Chain Harvest build for Shamans. But all in all, I really like Venthyr. It's just making everything that Blood DK was fun. It's like basically a 1-minute class in Mythic Plus, with Dancing Rune Weapon being between 40 and 55 seconds usually, as long as the dungeon's going quickly and efficient. Swarming Mist being 1 minute, Bone Storm being 1 minute. You do have a lot of things that are very low cooldown based and just a lot of fun. I already have a lot of fun playing a Venthyr Blood DK. This is only going to amplify that fun with the 2 and 4 piece set and adding that second legendary. I honestly think BDKs are going to be just a force to be reckoned with. And right now, we can't even really test out the 4 piece because we're not parrying attacks from everything. And I have tested this on like the Dungeoneers, but it doesn't really give you the right vibe and the right feel. Like, you're gonna get that single target, but that's really not what it's about. This is really for a lot of mobs and things like that. But if we hit Dancing Rune Weapon right now, I need to hit it on a target actually, so let's do that. Your parry chance goes up to 61% right off the bat. So on average, you're going to be parrying half of the incoming attacks against you, which is really, really nice. So it just, honestly, I'm really looking forward to playing Blood in 9.2. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. And now let's go with Kyrian. Let's go check. And after some trouble setting up the Kyrian Covenant, because the PTR is definitely in a weird state right now, and then of course me losing my character, like the character model avatar just wouldn't show up, we are here. Let's go. So, the Kyrian legendary is when Shackle the Unworthy is applied to an enemy, instantly gain a rune, and your damage is increased by 4%, stacking up to 20% for 15 seconds. Very strong in AoE scenarios, basically useless in single target. So Kyrian being like the raiding covenant of choice, or a strong raiding covenant, definitely decreases in 9.2 with this. Although you hit a couple dummies and it's not bad. Like, it's pretty good. You just want to make sure that you got all your stuff. Hit Shackle. Make sure you got Death and Decay, so that way you see it goes everywhere, because you want to cleave that off. And you want to extend that Dancing Rune Weapon a bunch. Keep that parry going. Of course, I do not have my weak aura for my runes, so I do not see what's going on. But I mean, 10.6, it's good damage. It's good AoE damage. It cleaves nice. It gives you a nice strength bonus, which pairs well with the Dancing Rune Weapon, which you're going to be able to get to the same thing with the Mechanicos tree. Once you're getting hit and you're losing those Bone Shield stacks. I really wish some of my weak auras would have carried over, but they did not. Honestly, in AoE, I'm going to be playing this for Necrotic Weeks, guaranteed. I'm going to be using probably Mechanicos and going down this line here for Necrotic Weeks. But I mean, there's a lot of different options. There's also Clea for Necrotic Weeks, which is really good. I'm personally getting up, like right now I think I have it up to like 70 or whatever on live. So yeah, Kyrian's definitely if you're planning on maining BDK, you're gonna want to get, and doing Mythic Plus and things like that, you're gonna want to get Kyrian up there to deal with Necrotic Weeks or certain dungeons or things like that. It is strong. It's a little bit of a different playstyle than Venthyr. It's not just press one button and all of your things happen. But I mean, Shackle the Unworthy does deal good damage. Unfortunately, it got overridden by a Blood Plague on something else. But you saw it, 10.6, not a problem on 5 targets. Very strong, and it can go from there. Aside from that, I'm not going to cover Kyrian too much. I think the basics does all the rest. Next, we are going to go to Night Fae. Night Fae Blood Death Knight. Now, I'm assuming there's not a lot of you that actually play the Night Fae BDK, so let's go over what Death's Due is. It replaces Death and Decay. It gives you all of the same bonuses as your D&D, although it gives you Death's Due. Reduces the damage dealt, damage enemies deal to you by 2%, increasing to a maximum of 8%. and their powers turns you equal amount of strength, so up to 8%. Now this is on a 15-second cooldown, 10 seconds down. Very strong ability. And when you combine that with Naya, so whenever you use Death's Due, it grants you 2 stacks, so you get a nice constant bonus of mastery, which mastery scales very, very well. Please don't look at my stats as something indicative of something you should replicate. It's all screwed up because of the gear that I've got from the PTR testing and things like that. I would obviously love to have way more verse than what I have now. Now, with the girdle, you get the Night Fae Legendary. Strength gained from Death's Due is increased by 3% and persists for 2 seconds longer. And while standing within your Death's Due, your runic power generation is increased by 20%. So we're just going to go here. This is the 3-target dummy. And we're going to put that down and have some fun. While we're using that, we're going to keep this going. We're going to spend as many runes as possible. And as you can see here we're getting down to about, what, 8k single target? 3-target. This would probably pretty easily hit a little bit more on if we had the 5-target dummy. But no, that's not the way the PTR likes to work. That's not the way they design the covenants. But with the Night Fae, what you really have to do is you have to absolutely... As you see here, I'm constantly swapping targets, but you should always be using your Death's Due off cooldown, hard cast it, use the runes available. So I would be using Blood Tap. Personally, if you're using, I can't remember what the other one is right now, Relish in Blood, I would be making the swap over to Blood Tap if you are planning on going Night Fae. Although, the nice part with this is it removes a button from your rotation, which I guess is a pro and a con, but also what it does is it just bakes in all of your bonuses into a button you're already pressing anyway, which is very, very nice to have. You put it down, you have this nice blue circle. Honestly, it's not bad. It's a little clunky. I think it's going to be better for single target, considering how Kyrian has just been devalued single target with the extra legendary. Night Fae is probably going to be seeing a lot more damage, a lot more consistency to the single target, because you can pretty much constantly keep that buff up. It's just all around strong. It's a little bit different to play around, and I think Venthyr is still going to be... Venthyr or Necrolord is going to be the play for Mythic Plus. Night Fae, I think it's going to be a little bit too clunky for Mythic Plus, but in raiding, I could actually see this be very, very strong, because gaining Soul Shape in raid... Dude, you're a Death Knight, you don't move very quickly. Having Soul Shape is an absolutely wonderful cooldown to have. And just baking in all of your extra damage reduction, extra strength bonus, and everything like that into Death and Decay, which you really don't get a lot of use from in raid. This being an actual button that you're going to want to press it in raid way more often. I mean, don't get me wrong, you want to press it in raid, but it's not. Death and Decay doesn't give you as much of a bonus in pure single target scenarios, where Death's Due is really going to amplify that a lot more and just kind of make the class a little bit less clunky in single target, but more clunky the more targets you get. So just kind of something to think about. But lastly, we're going to go check over one of the funnest abilities to press in the game, Abomination Limb with the Necrolords. Last but not least, the Necrolord Blood Death Knight with the Abomination Limb. Slappy hands, we all know and love it. Now, what the Necrolord Legendary does is A-Bomb Limb's duration is increased by 4 seconds, and the frequency it grants Bone Shield is increased by 2 seconds. The first time an enemy is damaged by A-Bomb Limb, they take 20% increased damage from you for 12 seconds, making this an already great cooldown. Very powerful indeed. My only issue with this, and this is the issue that I've had with this since the start, because I actually like running the Crimson Rune Weapon Legendary, is you get 5 Bone Shield stacks just for hitting Dancing Rune Weapons. You're going to overcap on Bone Shield charges so incredibly fast, it's unreal. I would prefer seeing A-Bomb Limb give a little bit more runic power generation or something like that, at like half the amount of Swarming Mist, and no Bone Shield stacks, or maybe like an initial or whatever. That's probably just me. Either way, it's a really fun button to press, and if you are the type of person that prefers to play the this build, you're gonna have a lot of fun playing it. All honesty, there's literally, like, look at that. You just easily hit. This is 2 targets, dealing 10k. Now, the difference between this and like Death's Due and the other ones, this is a 2-minute cooldown, no matter what you do. So you got to keep that in mind. Like, honestly, you got to keep that in mind. It's 2 minutes, and there are times where you do not want to press that button, but it is very strong. It's a lot of fun. Right there, it was 30% of our damage on a 2-target pull. This would be very strong single target. It would be very, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, let's face it. It was absolutely needed on Soul Render Prog to have several Death Knights, and having a Maldraxxus Death Knight and Necrolord Death Knight. Very, very powerful ability there. You can go with Emily. You can go with Bonesmith. If you're planning on playing Blood and you like slappy hands, it makes pulls a lot easier. Everything just, you know, get over here even more. So you can use that and Gore Fiends on several different pulls. It feels great. My only issue is, like I said earlier, is the redundancy in Bone Shield stacks between the Crimson Rune Weapon Legendary and the A-Bomb Limb. You just get them so incredibly fast. It's unreal, and like you just stay capped forever. But it's less to think about. You just don't have to worry about Bone Shield stacks. You know you're going to have plenty. You have good damage, but like I said, there's times where you don't want to press it. Like in the other side, for example, you want to make sure that you don't pull in the bombs that explode. You want to keep those away. In the hallway for Mechagon as well, you don't want to pull in the moving slimes, so you got to watch where you cast A-Bomb Limb to not pull in the slimes and murder your group. There's times where when you get it up, it's a fun button to press, but let's say the Gargans in Halls of Atonement, you don't want those near you, so you're just holding on to cooldowns for longer than you should. There are times where it's absolutely the most funnest button in the world to press in the game. It's so fun. PvP, absolutely. I've done a little bit of PvP, not much with it, but oh my god, it's fun. Just seeing people try and get away from you and just constantly getting you like back. All around, if you enjoyed the Necrolord playstyle of Blood DK in 9.1.5, you're absolutely going to love it in 9.2, plain and simple. So let's go over a quick summary of all the covenants. Well, not really a quick summary. I think with the double legendary being added in, I think this opens up the other 2 covenants to be much more equal. So if you watch my Prot Warrior video, I said there's no bad covenant for Prot Warrior. I'm believing that now with Blood Death Knight. There's really no bad covenant for BDK. They all offer something strong in certain scenarios and weak in other scenarios. So you can really swap them around. If you have 80 renown in all the covenants for Blood, you're definitely in a good spot where you're going to learn what covenant would be best for certain dungeons, certain raids, certain raid encounters, open world, all of this fun stuff where it really does open up a lot more possibilities for Blood, and that 4-piece is going to be absolutely nutty. But like I said earlier in the video, we can't quantify that right now because we're just not... It is a little bugged. I have tried testing this on like the tanking dummies as well, where it's not working properly right now, and they have addressed this in a blue post already, saying that they're working on the fix. It's going to be fixed by live for sure. But this 4-piece is very, very strong for Blood. It works with all covenants, but you're going to want to be running, especially for Mythic Plus, is the Crimson Rune Weapon Legendary to get that Dancing Rune Weapon down to about 40 to 55 seconds, like I had said earlier. Very, very strong ability. Something you're going to want to press frequently. Whatever covenant you play, you're going to have fun with. I think Blood's going to be a force to be reckoned with next year, not going to lie. And it is very, very high on my list of possible mains. I have decided on the plates. It's going to be Warrior, Paladin, or DK. I just don't know which one I'm really focusing on. Right now, Death Knight and Paladin are about equal for first place and Warriors in third. We're going to see kind of how things pan out, because sometimes I have a love for Warrior that is just there. There's nothing that's ever going to change, and sometimes that love just ekes it out ahead of being my main like it did in 9.0.5, but we'll go around from there. I will be playing all 3 in 9.2 for sure. It's just a matter of which one I am going to be focusing on the hardest. So aside from that, there is a Discord link down below for the Mazarok Community Discord. Check that out if you have any tanking questions, we're a positive community, people that just want to, help other people tank, learn how to tank better, all that fun stuff. Come on by, check that out. If you want to see me on Twitch, there's a link down for that below. Aside from that, I hope you guys are excited for 9.2 as much as I am. Let me know what tank you plan on maining. Just because I'm not covering your tank because I'm a little bit more of a plate specialist than the leather ones does not mean that I do not appreciate or love the monk, DH, or druid tanks as well. If that's what you love to play, let me know in the comment section down below, because I am excited. Tank balance has never ever been better in this game, and I think 9.2 is going to be wild, a wild tier for tanks. Thanks for watching the video, and expect the Paladin one up soon.